witches, how you doing today? Got my toque on again. I think today's video it's not necessarily controversial, but it's definitely a kind of a heavier topic. It's kind of a response video to some comments and posts that I've seen in various places. I probably had 3 or 4 comments about this on my videos in the past. And I've seen it in like the Witches Circle Amino a couple of times. I've seen men posting this, and in Facebook groups have been posts, and it's always that, you know, you keep saying she, men can be witches too. And I want to talk about that feminine default in witchcraft. And so I'm warning you, it's maybe a bit of a feminist rant, but I feel like it needs to be said, it needs to be addressed. So for those of you who are newer around here, my name is tHe. We talk about all sorts of things witchcraft, especially traditional witchcraft, which is where my heart lies. Welcome back to all of you returning viewers. Maybe you're coming in from another video. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And all of you, please consider subscribing. It's a great way to help us build the channel. So, feminine default in witchcraft. Like I said, I've had the comment 3 or 4 times on videos. I've seen posts about, you know, hey, you guys have to remember, like, men can be witches too. So before we look at the feminine in witchcraft, I want to look at life outside of our magical spaces, outside of our witchcraft spaces, out in the mundane world. We have a masculine default. So the male category is considered the norm. So, things like an actor or deodorant or basketball, those are all male and they're all the norm. And then we have the female category, which is considered other. So an actor versus an actress, deodorant versus women's deodorant, basketball versus women's basketball. Another way that this pops up is we use the word she to refer to boats, cars, chainsaws, to things that are tools to be used or tools to bring us pleasure. Women are she. So all these sort of things strengthen the perception of the male category being the norm and the corresponding female category as a derivation, as a derivative, as less than. Now, some of you are maybe already going like, heckles up, go do some research, okay? I'm not here to argue about this. This is factually the world in which we live in. There's been a ton of research put into our language and our gendering and how that affects women, how that affects men, how that changes our perceptions. So, I mean, you can start by just Googling male as norm. You know, there's a great little Wikipedia article that'll pop up. You can start your research there. I do not want to debate that with people. That is the fact of what we live with. Now, in our witchcraft spaces, this is reversed somewhat. So when I say to you, witch, picture a witch. Picture a witch in your mind. And what do you see? Is it an old hag with like green skin and warts? Is it an ethereal young beauty and she's got antlers coming out of her head? Either way, like 99+% of you will picture a woman. Now, witch is a gender neutral term. It can and does refer to both men and women, trans and non-binary. Logically, we know that the word witch is gender neutral. But regardless, you will often see feminine wording around witchcraft, right? We will refer to a witch as she. And inevitably, this is when you get a male practitioner piping up with, hey, men can be witches too, stop excluding us. And I'm going to be frank here. Usually those men are white and straight, and typically younger, i.e. a little naiver. They are usually the men who our current system is built around. And I'm not trying to be controversial here. I just literally, the 4 times I've gotten comments, I've looked at their profile pictures, young white men. I'm guessing they're probably straight too. They are the people that our current system is built around. And so they have just grown up being the default. And when they're not, their initial reaction is to kick back and go, well, wait, men can be witches too. Stop excluding us. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say that witchcraft spaces are women's spaces. I'm not talking about pagan spaces or, you know, shamanistic spaces or occult. I'm just witchcraft, specifically just witchcraft spaces are women's spaces. They are spaces where women invoke the power of the witch to find their power in a patriarchal society. Now, saying that witchcraft is a women's space isn't meant to exclude anyone. Women's spaces are, and historically have always been, inclusive places. Regardless of your gender identity, your sexual preferences, your skin color, like everybody, it's inclusive. And that inclusion includes straight white men. Everyone, even our systemic oppressors, are welcome in our women's spaces. But I ask, if in our everyday mundane life, the default norm is masculine, why shouldn't the default norm in this women's space be feminine? Now, ideally, because I know some of you are going to pick on this, ideally, there shouldn't be a default norm of masculine or feminine. Our language and our spaces should be gender neutral. We are all just people. Unfortunately, I'm going to argue that we aren't there yet as a society. And so maybe this flipping this default from masculine to feminine in our witchcraft women's spaces is a first step towards true neutral equality, right? Maybe we swung one way, we need to swing back the other way so we can find a middle space. Here's a fun exercise. If the witchcraft default were masculine, would those straight, white, systemically privileged men be commenting, wait, but women can be witches too, don't exclude them? We already know that they wouldn't, because they don't make those comments out in the mundane world. All right, what is the point of this whole ranty diatribe? I don't know. I'm exhausted. I guess I wanted to start a conversation because I see this happening. I mean, I don't want to exclude men, but I don't feel that they are excluded. They are encompassed by that feminine default. Just like the argument being said that women aren't excluded, they're included in that, you know, like now, and we don't really talk about actors and actresses anymore. They're all actors, right? So we're starting to just include women as part of that. Well, I feel like in the witchcraft spaces, men are just inherently included, even though we're referring to it in a feminine term, it does include the men. So I don't know, do you see this playing out in your witchcraft spaces, in your witchcraft communities? Drop us a comment. I'd love to know. Have you had this comment before? How did you respond to it? What was your sort of takeaway? You know, I'd love to know. And again, I'm not trying to pick on, you know, the young, white, straight men who are saying, hey, include me, because I don't think they're doing it out of any sense of malice. I honestly think they just don't realize how the system is set up, how privileged they are in the regular mundane world. So when they come to our women's space, they kick back and go, well, hey, wait, how come I'm not privileged here? And that's where those comments come from. Not out of any sense of malice, but more out of just ignorance, I guess. So yeah, leave me a comment. Let's chat about it. Keep it civil, guys. This isn't meant to like call out anybody or pick on anybody, okay? Keep it civil, but yeah, let's chat about it. All right. Otherwise, we'll catch you in the next video. Mwah. Thanks so much, you guys.